speaking of opportunity, Adam Silver asked yesterday about the potential to alter the league schedule and playoff schedule going forward. And he said, yes, we have discussed it. And I've always thought it was best served to start at Christmas, get it to late May, cut it down to about 70 games, not 82. And then June, July, August, you wrap up the playoffs, have a draft, day later, have free agency, 10 days later, summer league, Labor Day, hand it to the NFL. That makes sense to me. I don't know if you're a Silver fan. I like the fact he feels like, to me, the NFL, in that he is willing to listen to new paradigms and new ideas. What was your takeaway on his ESPN interview?
Yeah, I like the fact that Adam Silver's open to new ideas and open to restructuring the way the NBA goes about its season. I think everybody's known for a long time 82 games is just too many. And I think when you factor in just the enormous salary increases in professional sports and in basketball, I think it's just harder for these guys to make all this money and still get up for the regular season. I'm somebody that wants to see him cut it down to 62 games. And I'm somebody, I like his little mid-season opportunity to have a little mid-season tournament. And then the biggest thing I would love to see that I've never heard discussed is I believe the first 3 games of the NBA Finals should be played in Las Vegas. And then you go home and home the last 4 games, or the first 2 games played in Las Vegas. Then whoever's got home court advantage has the extra home game in the last 5 or whatever. But what the NBA has been missing is, like, the NFL has an event that you can mark on your calendar a year, 10 years out. You know where the Super Bowl location is, and all the media can descend on one city and cover that event. The Final Four has it. College football now has it. The NBA needs something where it's a year out. Everybody's going to Las Vegas to watch the first 2 NBA or the first 3 NBA Finals games, and it's a big celebration of basketball and the NBA. I wish they would adopt something like that, a central location for the first 2 or 3 games of the NBA Finals, so that you can really celebrate the game. And it's a lot easier in these times where the media spends less on travel. If people know a year in advance, hey, we're all going to Vegas on these dates for the first, it's a lot easier than going crisscrossing the country back and forth.
By the way, selfishly, if you were Adam Silver, fewer games, my stars last longer, fewer injuries. I mean, the NBA, you know the players would be for it. You know Adam Silver's for it. You'd have to convince the owners, listen, you can have 6 few, I say 70 games, 68. Okay, 7, 8 fewer NBA home games, but you're going to get 3 more years of LeBron. Like, you're going to get your stars to last longer. They're not going to be as beat up. So, it's always about convincing owners. That's what it's about, convincing. I
almost think it's about convincing the players to take the 15-20% pay cut. And I really don't know if it would be that significant.
I don't think
over
it would
the
be.
long haul.
Yeah.
Because the scarcity of games,
Yep.
I think, would increase the television value.
By the way, the NFL's got a new CBA, 17 games. It was split down the middle like America. I said, when I looked at the initial proposal, I thought it was reasonable, but I did think the players needed to ask for certain things, and I think they got mostly what they want. I thought there was a hypocrisy. All I ever hear about is everybody hates the 1%. The NFL has a new CBA, which mostly benefits everybody but the top 1%, and everybody in the media complain about it. What is your takeaway on 17 games in the NFL? What is your takeaway on what it looks like going forward? And did the players lose, which many in the media claim?
Well, I obviously, I'm a football fan, and football content is great for us, and so I love the 17 games. I think that where I was disappointed for the players is I thought they should be getting closer to 50% of the revenue. I think that only went up to 48, maybe 48 and a half.
Yeah.
I was disappointed there. I've been a longtime critic of DeMaurice Smith. I think he's weak. I don't think he's nearly as good as Gene Upshaw. He hasn't partnered with the NFL in the proper way. And so I'm hoping this is his last time. When, again, it's a 10-year deal, so he's probably out. But they need new leadership in the NFLPA. again, love the 17 games, wish the players had got a bigger cut of the money.
Yeah, 48.5% is not terrible.
Not terrible, but it should be 50.
Yeah, you and I aren't getting 48.5% of the revenue, I'll tell you that. And nobody's watching us because of our bosses. We can make that argument, right? Okay, so I said earlier today that Carmelo Anthony was always semi-committed. He had a great, fantastic college reputation, but he didn't move into the game. It moved away from him. And I look at Cam Newton now, and there are stories that he can play, but he'll have to be a bench guy, not a starter. And I say to myself, Cam Newton's become Carmelo Anthony, where if you don't commit, you age very quickly. Carmelo aged very quickly. Cam's aged very quickly. And I never thought there'd be a huge market for Cam Newton. There appears to be none as of this morning or this afternoon. Your thoughts?
It's amazing because there is no market for Cam Newton. And I think it's health, but I also think that Cam is an odd person, maybe a borderline weirdo.
Yeah.
I think the whole hairstyle deal, the whole fashion show before and after games is just too much. It's not the proper role for a quarterback who's in that sort of leadership position. And I love your analogy to Carmelo Anthony, although I think that's almost a disservice to Carmelo Anthony because Cam Newton has generational, once-in-a-lifetime talent, should have been one of the greatest players, in the NFL. Look, he had an MVP season, but I think this is one of those situations when you go back to the critics of Cam Newton coming out of the draft, and I for some reason I can't think of the guy's name.
Nolan Narwaki.
Yeah, he took all that flack, and he was right. And then Peter King took a lot of flack for the quote about the global icon. And that Cam said this, I think, at the Combine or whatever, and everybody, blah. And Peter King was right, and that reporting on that story was right in terms of Cam's priorities, wanting to come in and be this global icon rather than coming in just like, I just want to be a great quarterback and let that take care of me being a global icon. Cam's priorities have been wrong. The NFL, look, at these prices that they're paying players, all of this complaining or all of this, what NFL owner, when you're paying a guy $30 million, you don't want him distracted. You want that guy with a single-minded focus about what can I do to earn this $30, $35 million, $25 million. Nobody's feeling sorry for these guys. Nobody's worried about you building your individual brand when we're paying you $20, $25 million a year. And so I just think the NFL, the moves I'm seeing them make, it's like Eric Reed getting released in Carolina, even after they just gave him an extension like a year ago. If you're not committed to this game at these prices, you better be awesome. You better be – look at Jadeveon Clowney. And, again, I don't know where his commitment is in terms of off-field, but I just think people are like, man, this dude's got a whole lot of talent that he's never – fully realized, and do we really want to spend a bunch of this money on a guy like Jadeveon Clowney? The NFL, like, these owners have made up their mind, like, we're drawing a line in the sand.
Well,
if you're not really committed, we're not really committing all this cash to you.
Yeah, and Matt Rule's a culture guy, and so Eric Reed, Cam Newton, I'm going forward. I don't really think you fit my culture. And so, new coaches, I just look at Cam, and I've always thought to myself, sometimes the game moves into you, and sometimes the game moves away from you. And I think Cam and Carmelo also lack a certain self-awareness where, everybody says they love him, but nobody really seeks to play with him. But
Colin, go just look at our industry, and for the talented people, salaries have exploded.
Yeah.
And executives are like, hey, man, we need you all in here. Right. We're not paying you $150,000. And so if you want to go dabble in this or dabble in that and, when you get paid a lot of money, there's a lot of expectations and a lot of responsibility to go along with it. And I just think it's a tough lesson that a lot of these athletes are having to learn. And I hope that there are guys looking at what's happening to a Cam Newton and learning a lesson from that.
By the way, Brady now, Tampa Bay, you've marinated for a couple of days. Your thoughts?
I'm still a bit concerned, but because, I think there are people arguing that I can't disagree with, like, hey, man, is that offensive line? Is that offensive line great for an older quarterback? And look, Brady is a great decision maker with the ball, and with those weapons, I'm sure he'll get the ball out of his hands quick. But overall, I got to say, I like it. It's going to be the story of the year.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Here's the number that I think helps Tampa. Their quarterback, Jameis Winston, alone had 35 turnovers, and they went 7-9 and had 6 one-possession losses. So, I mean, Jason, if Brady just cuts the 36 turnovers down to 12, they're going to win some games.
Yeah, if they go from 36 to 12 and play like they did, I think they win 4 or 5 more games.
Yeah, no, listen, Todd Bowles, I think, is the classic great vice president, not a president. At the end of last year, Tampa's defense, Jason, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So
yeah, I love their whole little coaching dynamic, from Bruce Arians to Todd Bowles to Byron Leftwich, and I think it'll be. I think Brady's going to go in there so enthusiastic, and so just wanting to be a part of something special, of cherry on the top. So I think he and Byron Leftwich are going to work well together, because I think Brady will take some joy, and if he's there and Byron Leftwich then gets a head coaching job because of the way he worked together with Brady, I think that's a great look for Brady. He's helped an African-American coach along the path. I just think there's so much positive energy and optimism and just work ethic that's going to be down there in Tampa that it makes me, if they set the over-under on wins at 9, I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I saw. Yes, somebody said yesterday, was it 8? 8?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'd bet the over on that. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.